Beneath Florida's sun-drenched facade, where palm trees sway and pastel homes glimmer, a chilling reality is emerging. Many cities are hurtling towards a significant housing crash in 2025, and the warning signs are now blinking crimson. Home prices are plummeting, insurance costs are spiraling out of control, and housing inventory is piling up at an alarming rate. Is your cherished city on the brink of a nosedive? Could that dream real estate investment transform into a financial nightmare? Stay with us, because we're about to unveil the top 10 Florida cities where the housing market is cracking wide open. This isn't merely a dip. It's a full-blown shakeup, a potential real estate crash that could flip the entire Sunshine State upside down. Number 10, Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale, Florida, a city synonymous with dreamy beaches and coastal allure. Yet this idyllic paradise is now encountering severe real estate turbulence. If you believed this vibrant hub was immune to a housing crash, prepare to reconsider. In 2025, Fort Lauderdale is flashing dire warnings across its housing market. The sheer number of homes for sale has surged by over 80% year over year. Listings that once vanished in mere days now linger for months. Home prices tell a stark story. Properties commanding $650,000 in 2023 are currently struggling to sell even at $580,000. But the most formidable threat looming over this real estate market is insurance. Coastal risk is pushing homeowners' premiums past $7,000 annually, an astonishing 50% increase in just 2 years. Add HOA fees topping $500 a month, and potential buyers are recoiling sharply. Even seasoned investors are fleeing. Nearly 30% of investment condos purchased during the boom are now listed below their original acquisition price. Airbnb hosts are also suffering with occupancy rates down 12% from 2023. Rising costs, dwindling demand, and an overwhelming number of listings. This is the classic recipe for a textbook correction. Fort Lauderdale might still look like $1 million postcard, but beneath the palms, this housing market is cracking. Number 9, Cape Coral. Cape Coral, Florida, often hailed as the waterfront wonderland, isn't floating gracefully in 2025. It's visibly sinking. Once a bustling relocation hotspot, Cape Coral now confronts a sharp market crash. Home prices are down 5 to 7% year over year, and properties now sit for over 70 days. The reasons are clear: overbuilding and insurance woes. Housing inventory exploded to nearly 4,000 active listings, more than double 2023's count. Flood insurance near the canals, and Gulf now averages $8,000 to $12,000 annually, with some insurers withdrawing entirely from the area. Factor in hefty $30,000 utility hookup fees in expansion areas, and the city's once affordable dream is rapidly fading. Locals are being priced out as wages fail to keep pace. The economy, heavily reliant on construction and retirees, isn't expanding fast enough to sustain this previous boom. Cape Coral in 2025 remains scenic, but its real estate market is seriously sinking. Number 8, Ocala. Ocala, Florida's storied horse capital, is now galloping headfirst into a significant housing slowdown. From a mere 800 listings in 2022 to nearly 3,000 in 2025, Ocala's housing supply has surged by an astounding 275%, and demand simply cannot keep up. Home prices that once reached $310,000 are now dipping to $275,000, and properties are sitting on the housing market for an average of 56 days, a stark increase from 19 days. Overbuilding has hit hard with entire subdivisions, especially in Silver Spring Shores, sitting half-empty. Developers gambled on a post-pandemic housing bubble, but severely overshot the mark. Affordability has evaporated. Insurance premiums have doubled, yet wages haven't risen. The average salary sits at $47,000, while median home prices remain around $270,000. Ocala's housing market in 2025 is still charming, but undeniably shaky. Number 7. Tampa. Tampa, Florida, once the crown jewel of Florida's real estate boom, is now confronting a brutal reality check in 2025. Not long ago, bidding wars were the norm. Homes vanished off the housing market in mere days, as buyers lined up and home prices soared. This year, however, tells an entirely different story. Housing inventory has skyrocketed from just over 3,000 active listings in early 2023 to more than 5,400 today, an 80% surge that is now flooding the real estate market with choices. Buyers no longer feel the urgency. The overbuilding spree has finally caught up, and properties that once drew multiple offers are now sitting some lingering on the housing market for 50 days or more as sellers slash home prices in desperation. Mortgage rates hovering at 6.8% have caused monthly payments to skyrocket from around $1,800 to over $2,600 for the same home. This dramatic increase is pricing out entire segments of first-time buyers. The cost of holding onto property is also brutal. Property taxes and insurance premiums have surged by more than 40%. Insuring a bayfront home in Tampa now costs $5,200 or more per year, even in areas that haven't flooded in years. Even seasoned investors are cutting their losses, some dumping properties for 10% less than they paid desperate to escape before the storm worsens. The buzz is gone, the momentum has shifted, and now the real estate market is turning on its head. So if you're in Tampa, you might want to brace for impact. The sunshine is still bright, but the housing market is rapidly losing power. Want more updates like this? Hit subscribe to Discover the Nation for real estate shifts, economic red flags, and insider insights before the headlines catch up. Number 6. Jacksonville. Jacksonville, Florida's largest city by land area, once prided itself on being a safe, steady real estate bet. But in 2025, that stability is showing serious cracks. Let's break it down. Active listings have nearly doubled, jumping from just over $2,200 to nearly $4,000 in less than 2 years. This is the highest housing inventory Jacksonville has seen in more than a decade, and it's not just a fluke. It's the direct result of overzealous building in booming suburbs like Orange Park and Middleburg, where developers gambled big on population growth that simply hasn't materialized. Buyers are vanishing. With mortgage rates nearing 7%, what used to be a manageable $300,000 home now feels like a $450,000 burden once financing kicks in. Combine that with soaring insurance premiums, which are up 60%, and the cost of owning a home in Jacksonville is no longer affordable for most working families. According to Fitch Ratings, the city's housing stock is overvalued by 26%, a major red flag. Investors are not helping. In fact, they're exacerbating the problem. Roughly 1 in every 5 homes on the housing market in Jacksonville right now is investor-owned, and many of these properties are being hit with deep price cuts. Some are selling below appraised value as landlords scramble to liquidate before further losses set in. There's more job losses in Jacksonville's freight, and logistics sectors have shaken the local economy. Port traffic is down, incomes are dipping, and fewer people can qualify for a mortgage. Homes are sitting longer, averaging over 50 days on the market, up from just 21 days 2 years ago. It's a housing market in limbo, too expensive for locals, too unstable for investors, and too risky for newcomers. Jacksonville might still boast riverside views and a growing downtown, but in the real estate world, 2025 is shaping up to be a year of reckoning. So if you're watching the housing market from the sidelines or inside the storm, don't miss what's next. Subscribe to Discover the Nation for dramatic breakdowns, regional deep dives, and honest real estate coverage you won't get anywhere else. Number 5, Sarasota. Sarasota, Florida, where white sand beaches, luxury condos, and coastal charm once promised paradise. But in 2025, this high-end haven is grappling with a serious housing hangover. Inventory has more than doubled, soaring past 700 homes on the real estate market. That means more listings, more waiting, and more sellers sweating. Homes once listed at $1.2 million are now languishing at $975,000 and still not selling. Zillow named Sarasota one of the most overvalued cities in Florida, and now the housing market is feeling that intense heat. Mortgage rates near 6.75% are forcing even luxury buyers to slam the brakes. The cash flow is drying up, and demand is retreating. Out-of-state buyers, once the lifeblood of Sarasota's growth, have pulled back sharply. The cost of simply owning a home here has ballooned. Waterfront property insurance now averages $8,000 to $10,000 per year. That's enough to make even seasoned snowbirds think twice. And here's the kicker: properties are now sitting for an average of 91 days. That's nearly triple what it was in 2022. Realtors are cutting home prices, hosting empty open houses, and offering perks. Yet the real estate market has gone quiet. Sarasota still looks like a dream, but in 2025, that dream comes with ominous warning signs. Want to know which luxury markets are next? Subscribe to Discover the Nation, because staying informed now could save you thousands later. Number 4, Port St. Lucie. Port St. Lucie, a pandemic superstar, has transformed into a housing cautionary tale. Back in 2021, this coastal escape saw buyers flood in from New York, New Jersey, and beyond. But now, reality is catching up fast. Home values in Port St. Lucie are a whopping 41% above long-term fundamentals, according to Florida Atlantic University. Median home prices hover around $410,000. Yet the average household income is only $62,000. That's a massive affordability crisis. Housing inventory is up 35%, with even more new construction still hitting the real estate market, and demand is slipping away. Properties that were listed at $430,000 just a year ago now sit at $360,000. And sellers are offering everything from free appliances to closing cost credits just to spark interest. But price isn't the only problem. The city's infrastructure cannot keep up. Schools are overcrowded, roads are clogged, and utilities are strained. That growth boom came too fast, too soon. And like everywhere else in Florida, insurance is crushing affordability. Waterfront homes now cost between $6,500 and $8,000 per year to insure, if you can even find a provider. Port St. Lucie's dream of being Florida's best-kept secret in 2025 is slipping into correction mode. For more real-time breakdowns of markets on the edge, don't forget to subscribe to Discover the Nation. We're watching the numbers, so you don't get caught by surprise. This is a crucial housing market update. Number 3, Fort Myers. Fort Myers, once a poster child for Florida's real estate boom, is now front and center in the bust. From 2022 to 2024, this Gulf Coast gem exploded in popularity. Home prices soared by more than 65%, and properties were being snapped up at lightning speed. But in 2025, that momentum has vanished. Home prices have dropped 6% year over year, and housing inventory has ballooned from 3,200 to over 5,000 active listings. The average home is now sitting on the housing market for over 60 days. Sellers are growing anxious, agents are slashing home prices, the heat is gone, and the cool down is real. And then came the fallout from Hurricane Ian. The insurance market has been shattered. Today, homeowners in Fort Myers are paying between $9,000 and $11,000 annually, even in non-flood zones. Investors who flooded the real estate market just 2 years ago are now running for the exits. Vacation bookings are down, Airbnb occupancy is slipping, and many short-term rental owners are dumping properties below market just to cut their losses. Meanwhile, the local economy hasn't kept up. Median incomes are still below $60,000, making it nearly impossible for everyday families to afford homes that are still priced like it's 2022. Fort Myers still has sunshine, but its housing market in 2025 is under a cloud, and the correction has only just begun. Stay ahead of the market crash storm. Subscribe to Discover the Nation, because when the data changes, your strategy should too. Number 2, St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg, better known as St. Pete, has always been Florida's cool kid on the coast. Colorful murals, laid-back beach vibes, and a booming art scene made it a magnet for millennials, retirees, and Airbnb dreamers. But in 2025, that magnetic pull is fading fast. Housing inventory has doubled, surging past 5,600 active listings. That's the highest in nearly 8 years. And sellers are feeling the squeeze. 1 in every 4 homes listed right now has already had a price cut. Median home prices have dropped from $450,000 to $390,000, and properties are still sitting for an average of 48 days on the housing market, more than double the pace from just 2 years ago. It's not just regular homeowners feeling the heat. Investors are pulling out, and Airbnb operators are facing oversaturated rental markets and dropping rates, with the once thriving short-term rental scene rapidly losing steam. The real nail in the coffin: insurance. Flood risks along Tampa Bay have driven premiums up 60 to 70%, with many waterfront homes now costing $10,000 or more per year to insure. Some providers have simply stopped writing new policies altogether. Wages in St. Pete still hover under $58,000, making homeownership a stretch for locals, and even the influx of remote workers is slowing. What was once a hot rising city now faces a serious correction. The party in St. Pete isn't over, but it's definitely winding down. Want to know where Florida's next downturn is headed? Subscribe to Discover the Nation and get ahead of the market crash before the headlines catch up. This is a vital housing market prediction. Number 1, Lakeland. Lakeland, Florida, the city that burned the brightest and is now burning out fastest. Nestled between Tampa and Orlando, Lakeland was once seen as the affordable golden child of Central Florida real estate. But in 2025, it has become the epicenter of Florida's housing crash. Inventory has spiked by 60%, with over 4,800 active listings in a city of just 115,000 people. That's 1 home for sale for every 24 residents, a stunning oversupply. Home prices are slipping 2 to 4% per month, and the fall isn't over. Builders overestimated demand and flooded the suburbs with new construction, now crickets. But here's what's even more concerning: 31% of homes on the housing market are investor-owned, and those investors are panic selling, slashing home prices just to offload properties before the housing market drops further. Insurance costs have surged 40%. And basic coverage is now $4,000 to $5,500 annually, even in non-flood zones. Meanwhile, job growth has stalled. Lakeland's economy relies heavily on warehousing and trucking sectors that are slowing nationwide. As freight volumes drop, so do incomes, relocations, and housing demand. What you're witnessing in Lakeland isn't just a soft landing. It's a housing market crash in slow motion, and the city's real estate market is holding its breath. In 2025, Lakeland isn't just a cautionary tale. It's the poster child for Florida's unraveling housing bubble. Don't get caught off guard. Subscribe to Discover the Nation. We're tracking every market crash and trend before it hits your neighborhood. These aren't just slowdowns, they're flashing red alerts across the state. From luxury bubbles in Sarasota to investor panic in Lakeland, Florida's housing market is under pressure like never before. Whether you're a buyer, seller, renter, or just watching from the sidelines, 2025 is the year to stay sharp, stay informed, and stay ready. Because this isn't just a Florida story, this is a nationwide shift in motion. Tap subscribe to discover the nation and join the only channel breaking down real estate trends, housing crashes, and economic shakeups with facts, data, and zero fluff. The market is moving. Are you ready to move with it?